What's up YouTube? It's Askew 2000. I wanted to do a quick knife review today. I just got these in the mail yesterday. I've been on the waiting list for these for quite some time, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. These are the Wootz EDC, they call it the must-have pocket tool. So I got these. I think I purchased them sort of on impulse. Because I saw the Kickstarter campaign. That's why they started, is through Kickstarter. And I thought they looked really great, and I still think they look really great. But I do have some issues, which I'll talk about and just kind of give you my general impression of the knife. But the cool thing is as their Kickstarter campaign continued to get funded, and I think they ended up getting over 6,000% on funding, which is part of the reason that they had kind of a delay in shipping. They unlocked like different things that you can do with the knives. So originally it was just this drop point. I think it was just this gray drop point with the hardwood handle. As the Kickstarter progressed, you got the Tanto blade, or Tanto, sorry. And then I think you unlocked different types of scale materials and different types of coatings. I know they have like a titanium kind of rainbow colored coating. It didn't really appeal to me that much. But I looked through it and I thought these were the ones that I really liked, and I ended up getting the, I think it was the 3-pack. So you got 3 of the knives that you got to configure however you wanted to. And yeah, and so I was happy with that. And it wasn't too terribly expensive. I think like end result, you know, with tax and everything, it ended up being about 50 bucks. So that's roughly $15 or so per knife, maybe a little less than that. So that was the Kickstarter campaign. I think now they actually have their website where you can still do the same types of configurations, but they're a little bit more expensive. I don't know the conversion from pounds to dollars, but it's like 39 pounds or something. So they arrived. I will say that, you know, I made the pledge on Kickstarter well over a year ago. They were supposed to originally ship in like July or August of last year, and I just got them yesterday, so March 23rd. So there definitely was a delay. They were pretty open and honest with everybody on their Kickstarter page. So they talked about how, you know, they weren't expecting that big of an order. They had some logistics problems, so they were trying to keep people abreast of how the progress is going with the knives. Though I will say that some people got really fired up about it. You know, they said that they shouldn't have to wait for so long. And I've just kind of learned, I've made a few Kickstarter pledges in the past, and I just have learned to accept that usually there's gonna be a delay. These are startup companies. They haven't really quite figured out how to manage everything, and especially when you get well over 6,000% of what you were expecting, there's gonna be some logistics delays. So truthfully, I forgot about them, and then they showed up at my door, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember buying these. So they are, you know, really just basically a knife and a bottle opener. I will say that I think they did a little bit of over-marketing. So they originally tried to talk about how it was for kind of the backyard grillsman. You know, you can open up packages, start your grill fire if you wanted to strike a ferro rod on it. Open up your beer and do that kind of stuff. And I think that's a pretty good, accurate representation of what the knife can do. But then they went a little bit further, saying that it'd be great for backpackers who are looking to cut ounces. And I will say these are pretty light knives, so they're about 1.9 ounces. But the one thing that kind of surprised me, and the reason that I don't think they'd really fit in well with the backpacking, ultralight backpacking crowd, is that they're actually considerably a small blade. And I was a little surprised when I first opened them up, and I was like, they're a lot smaller than I expected. But that's my own fault, because they had the dimensions on the web page, on the Kickstarter page, the whole time. It just was me not paying attention and just, you know, looking at something saying, hey, pretty, I'm gonna get that. I was kind of hoping it would be more along the size of the blade of like the Benchmade proper. This is a new knife too, which I'll probably review here pretty soon. But the Benchmade proper is a sub 3-inch knife, like 2.8 inches. This knife is considerably smaller than that. Even the Tanto blade's shape, again, quite a bit smaller than the the proper. Now, I will say that that makes sense. And again, this is something that I should have probably expected. Because these knives are at least put together in Ireland, I don't know where all the materials come from. They are subject to Ireland and the UK's relatively strict knife laws. So you have to have a pretty short blade. You do have the option when you purchase these to get a locking version or a non-locking version, which is the non-locking version being UK compliant. But you know, I picked all of these up with the locking mechanism because I live in the US, so I don't have to worry about that as much. That being said, you know, the blade shape and size is not like a negating factor to me. It was just something that I didn't expect because I didn't do my research. So the blade steel that they used, not the best steel in the world. It's 440C, which at one point was the best steel you could get. You know, probably 10, 20 years ago, it was top of the line. Nowadays, not so much, but I wouldn't expect a super steel in a knife that is, you know, little less than $15 each. Even if you buy the 39-pound knife off their website, you're still going to get 440C. So maybe in the future they will probably upgrade their blade steel a little bit, but 440C isn't bad. I will say that, for at least for the purposes. And I think that's one thing that a lot of steel snobs get into, is they want the best steel possible, but they don't really focus on what the task is supposed to be. So if this is an everyday carry knife, you know, you're probably not going to be sharpening it every other week, so you don't need to have the best steel for sharpening. You don't really need to have the best steel for anything. You just need an okay steel, and 440C I think would fit that quite well. So steel, not the greatest, but whatever, it works. It does have a pocket clip, though I will say that the pocket clip is really, really stiff. So it's not like a normal knife where you can kind of just bend the pocket clip to make it fit a little bit better. I have pants that have kind of a thick lip on them, so I find that I just usually don't use the pocket clip on this. And again, I've only had it for 24 hours, but it is kind of hard and it's really stiff to change, so I would prefer just to leave it. And I did see that some people use it as a money clip too, so you could fit some bills in there. That would look kind of cool. And again, probably the most impressive factor in this knife is actually the lockup. So I think they did a great job on the lockup of the knife. You can't flick it out like some Benchmades or some other types of quick opening knives, so it is going to be a relatively slow deployment. But the lockup is really good. So they have this pretty strong liner lock here. On all of these knives, there's zero blade play up and down or side to side. So I think they did a great job on the liner lock aspect. And again, I think just overall the knives actually look quite nice. I like the hardwood on this one and the carbon fiber on this one. And again, you can change these up for your own personality or whatever you want to do. So I think in general they're pretty good knives. I think they're a little bit oversold, a little bit overly capable, according to what the website was suggesting. But in general, they're a good everyday carry knife. So if you want to check them out, I know they have their website. I think it's like wootsedc.com or something, or you can still check out the Kickstarter page. And so they're perfectly capable for what most people are going to be using them for. So hope you enjoyed it, and take care.